Good afternoon. If everybody could please take their seats, we'll get going in about 2 minutes. Thank you so much. They're just over there. Felly, prynhawn dad yn credu newn ni cychwyn. Prynhawn dad, good afternoon. My name is Mel Owen and it is a joy to be here this afternoon at the presentation of the Independent Commission on the Constitutional Future of Wales. Today we will hear from the co-chairs who are the Right Reverend and Right Honourable Dr Rowan Williams and Professor Laura McAllister. We will also be hearing from the First Minister Mark Drakeford and the Leader of Plaid Cymru, Rhyn ap Iorwerth. Thank you so much for your company here today. It is an absolute privilege of mine to be here. It's quite a change from some things I normally do. Last night I was emceeing a show which had to be paused in the middle due to a brawl of quite violent middle-aged women. So I trust you will all be much better behaved. First Minister, I will be keeping my eye on you. As I said, we are here for the presentation of the Commission, and which was launched in 2021 to consider how Wales is governed and to explore options for change. A little bit of housekeeping, there is translation if everybody has their headset in front of them. I would say if you've got any problems with them, put your hands up. I can't do anything to help you, so hopefully they do work. Photographs and videos will be taken throughout the session today as well, so just for you to be aware. And now before we hear from our co-chairs, we do have a short video to give you some further information on the Commission, so sit back and enjoy that.
I think the kind of Wales that I would like to live in is one where we have a good society where we all feel valued.
I'd like to live in a Wales where everyone feels equal to each other and able to talk to each other with respect and fairness.
It has to be diverse, equitable and inclusive.
I want to live in a Wales where people can aspire to their goals and reach accomplishments with the maximum potential.
Sefydlwyd y Comisiwn Annibynnol ar ddyfodol cyfansoddiadol Cymru I feddwl am sut caiff Cymru a'i llywodraethu ac I ystyried opsiynau ar gyfer newid. Daeth 11 o bobl o wahanol gefndiroedd, profiadau, gwleidyddiaeth a gwybodaeth at ei gilydd, ac yn gyffredin I ni gyd oedd bydd gorau Cymru. Fe glywson ni gan ddinasyddion Cymru, gan ddod â miloedd o bobl o'n cymunedau llawr gwlad yn rhan o sgwrs genedlaethol. Drwy arolygon, gweithgareddau cymunedol, sioau teithiol a'n llwyfan digidol, rydyn ni wedi gwrando ar y lleisiau yna a mynd ati I weithio gan edrych ar ffyrdd o gryfhau dyfodol Democrataidd Cymru. Roedd ein hadroddiad interim a gyhoeddwyd llynedd yn gosod 3 llwybr cyfansoddiadol am gano ran sut gallai Cymru gael ei rhedeg I wella bywydau ein pobl. Dyn ni barhau ar sgwrs ym mhob cwr o Gymru gan siarad gyda phobl lle bynnag maen nhw, gan sicrhau bod pawb yn cael ei cynnwys yn y broses o siapio dyfodol Cymru. Rydyn ni wedi clywed tystiolaeth ac wedi mynd i'r afael a chwestiynau holl bwysig am y ffordd mae Cymru'n cael ei llywodraethu, am iechyd ein democratiaeth a sut I gyrraedd dinasyddion o bob rhan o'n gwlad. Rydyn ni gobeithio bydd pawb yn defnyddio'r adroddiad terfynol I godi ei llais ac I helpu I siapio sut caiff Cymru a'i llywodraethu yn y dyfodol. Rydyn ni wedi gofyn y cwestiynau I Gymru ac mae Cymru wedi ateb. Dyma sgwrs genedlaethol Cymru.
Brilliant. Well, it is now my pleasure to hand over to the co-chairs of the Commission, the Right Reverend and Right Honourable Dr Rowan Williams and Professor Laura McAllister, who will tell you a little bit more.
Wel, prynawn da bawb, a diolch yn fawr am fod yma gyda ni heddiw. Bydd fy'n dechrau yn Gymraeg. Mae bleser mawr i ni fod yma yn y Senedd i gyflwyno adroddiad yn Comisiwn. Bydd Laura a fi yn rhannu'r cyflwyniad bore yma, prynawn yma. Fe gawson ni 2 flynedd brysur o waith. Ac rydyn ni'n hapus iawn a rydyn ni'n falch iawn bod ni wedi bod ar... Mae anwyd ofnadwy da. Hapus iawn rydyn ni'n falch iawn bod ni wedi dod ar cwch i lan o'r diwedd. Pan gasym o gyhoddiad i gadeirio'r Comisiwn, doeddwn ni ddim yn siŵr pa beth o gyfeiriad oedd o'n flaen ni i agor ac yn ymchwilio. Ond, fel mae pethau wedi troi mas, mae'r gwaith wedi bod yn berthnasol, yn werthchwael ac yn angenrheidiol am iechyd democratiaeth Cymru yn y dyfodol. O'r cychwyn, roeddwn ni'n gytun fel Comisiwn bod rhaid i ni dechrau gyda phobl Cymru a'i agenda nhw. Felly, fe ddechreusom ni sgwrs genedlaethol. Sgwrs a phobl a chymunedau lleol. A daeth hi'n amlwg yn fuan fod yna problem go iawn i datrys. Nid problem gyda'r setliad datganoli yn unig oedd hwn, na'r drefn etholiadol. Y berthynas rhwng pobl a'r llywodraeth oedd y problem. Roedd pobl yn teimlo bod neb yn gwrando, neu fod gwleidyddion ddim ond yn gwrando adeg etholiad. Doedd nhw ddim yn deall sut mae Cymru'n cael ei llywodraethu, na sut mae penderfyniadau cael ei gwneud ar ei rhan. Ond newyddion da oedd bod pobl yn awyddus iawn i gymryd rhan unwaith iddyn nhw ddeall sut mae llywodraethiant yn effeithio'r gwasanaethau sy'n bwysig iddyn nhw, ac unwaith i ni ffindio'r ffyrdd gorau i gyrraedd pobl, i greu cysylltiad effeithiol a chymunedau. Mae'r adroddiad yn esbonio'r holl ffyrdd gwahanol wnaethon ni ddefnyddio. Gwaith caled iawn yw cyrraedd pobl ar lawr gwlad i drafod democratiaeth. Ond bydd hyn yn hynod werthchwael. Dangosodd i ni fod democratiaeth yng Nghymru yn fregus a rhaid i ni fod yn wyliadwyrus ohoni. A nid yw hwn yn ymwneud â'r setliad datganoli yn unig. Troaf nawr i Saesneg. So the first 3 of our 10 recommendations are designed to strengthen Welsh democracy. We took our conversation with citizens very seriously indeed, because we wanted in our work to model the kind of open debate that we believe is needed to revitalise Welsh democracy, based on participation, reliable information, listening to all voices. And I think it's fair to say that in all our dealings with the people of Wales and with one another as commissioners, we've been gifted with a spirit of open inquiry and respectful debate. As co-chairs, we're particularly delighted that we're presenting a unanimous report. We come from very diverse backgrounds, but we've interrogated the evidence as far as we can with an open mind, and in that interrogation of the evidence, it became clear what needs to be done to protect devolution and to arrest any further attrition of devolution. This is, as you might say, the basis on which the rest of our report rests. Here are the things we believe are necessary now to protect devolution, but what lies in the future remains open. But we agreed once again on our analysis of the constitutional options that lay open in the future. We were not tasked with choosing any one of those options, recommending any one over the others. That was not our role. That is for the elected representatives of the people of Wales. And that is why this report is a beginning, not an end point for such a discussion. But we hope that in our analysis of those options, we were able to say something about how the possible constitutional futures of Wales might measure up to a set of basic principles of political and, I think it's fair to say, moral vision. What kind of society do we want to be? We've heard something of that in the opening video. So we're suggesting that those constitutional futures need to be measured in the context of that big picture against that analytical framework with those fundamental values in mind. We attempted to provide the most objective assessment that we could of the three options we identified for Wales's constitutional future, so as to inform the debate and to move it forward. In this analysis, we owed and still owe a huge debt to our expert panel, whose work in filling out the detail of all this was absolutely invaluable to us. And I need hardly say that we owe equally an enormous debt to an ultra-professional secretariat who drew out of us, I think, the best we could manage, making us more clear-headed than perhaps we thought we were at times. That, then, is the big picture of what we've attempted. Those are the values, those are the visions we worked with, and that fundamental question of how we strengthen democracy in Wales and build a more robust democratic culture is, we hope, writ large on every page of this report. But I'll hand over now to Laura, who will speak a bit more about those recommendations, particularly in relation to intergovernmental relations and the devolved powers that might emerge in the future for the Government of Wales. Diolch yn fawr iawn.
Diolch yn fawr iawn, Rowan. Hoffwn bwysleisio ar hyn dwedwch chi am enfridiaeth y Comisiwn. Mae'n rhyfeddol bod ein Comisiwn drawsblaidiol wedi medru dod at farn unfrydol ar destun mor wleidyddol. Byddai'n braf meddwl taw ein sgiliau ni fel cyd-cydeiriddion sy'n gyfrifol am hyn, ond nid dyna'r gwir. Mae'n canlyniad i'r ffaith ein bod wedi gwrando gyda meddwl agored ar farn pobl Cymru, yn ogystal ag arbenigwyr a rai sydd â profiad perthnasol. As you see, the Commission has made only 10 recommendations. We could, of course, have made plenty more, but we wanted to be focused, realistic, and practical. We gave priority to the most urgent actions to protect devolution from attrition and even potential collapse. Now, those are strong words, but we don't say them lightly, because it's very clear to us that the status quo is not an option, as we said in our interim report of more than a year ago. The status quo is being threatened, and some would say risks erosion by the actions and attitudes of UK government to the devolved countries. Mae angen newid ar frys I ddiogelu democratiaeth yng Nghymru. The evidence that we've collected from both experts and the general public is inescapable. And it's led us to the conclusion that the Sewell Convention and intergovernmental relations more widely must be placed on a statutory footing. Otherwise, devolution will effectively wither away. The Treasury constraints on the Welsh Government's budget management are unnecessary. They are also not good value for money. We recommend removing them unless there are strong macroeconomic implications for not doing so. Now, that may sound like a dry technical point, but it could make a significant difference to effective financial planning and also ensuring better service delivery and better value for money for the Welsh population. We also make 4 recommendations based on the detailed work of our subgroups. But as we said to the First Minister earlier this morning, the terms of reference of this Commission were probably wide enough to have sponsored 10 or 12 PhDs. So forgive us if we haven't done the best service to each of those important policy areas. But in each of them, we make recommendations about what might happen next, including further research and investigation. Firstly, on justice and policing, we took the Lord Thomas report of 2019 as our basis, and we focused on the practicalities of implementation of those recommendations. We invited evidence to the contrary, that evidence which might suggest that devolution should not be devolved, but I think it's safe to say we did not hear either convincing or intellectually evidenced argument for the status quo. We concluded that devolution of justice is entirely achievable and should be managed as a joint project with proper funding alongside the UK government, and that this should start, and it will take time of course, with policing, youth justice and probation. On rail services, we considered recommending a joint governance solution, but it became apparent to us through the evidence and comments of the people who receive rail services that nothing short of full devolution of rail would address the present injustices. On energy, the settlement is clearly out of date. Technological advances have ensured that, and we felt that a fresh look to ensure that Wales's interests are properly protected in this fast-moving area is needed, which is why we call for a fresh advisory group of experts that should design a forward-looking structure that takes into account imminent technological changes, as well as the interests of both governments. Ar sail y cynsail yr Alban, credwn taw datganoli reolaeth ystad y goron yng Nghymru fydd yn cynnig y llwybr gorau tuag at setliad ganaladwy. Galwn am llais cryfach i Gymru ar ddarlledu a mwy o waith ar ddatganoli posib i adeiladu ar y nifer o adroddiadau diweddar ar hyn. On the constitutional options, as Rowan has mentioned, our goal was to produce a proper, evidenced and rigorous analysis of the three options that we'd identified in our interim report, and also to present those as accessibly as possible. All three, enhanced devolution, federalism and independence, are viable options. But when you study the report in detail, and I think with the help of our expert panel, we've done a very unique analysis based on principles, policy and practice of each option, you will see, not surprisingly, that each has its own challenge and its own risks, but also each has their own specific opportunities as well. It has not been our task to select any one of those constitutional options as being the best ones for Wales. That was going to be very unlikely with a cross-party commission, and in any case, we believe that it depends on individual values and political preferences. Mae'n hanfodol bod pobl Cymru yn parhau ar sgwrs mwyn helpu i lunio sut mae Cymru'n cael ei redig yn y dyfodol. Gobeithio na fydd neb yn dweud o hyd allan nad oedd gan pobl cyffredin diddordeb mewn materion cyfansoddiadol. And for those who sniffily suggest that this is an elite project and that there's no public interest in such matters, I urge you to read the evidence to the contrary that's set out in our report. We hope this report will pave the way for much greater engagement and also lay rest to the idea that people are not interested in constitutional matters. Gallwn gryfhau a chyfoethogi ein democratiaeth drwy gefnogi a chyd-drafod fel rhan o lywodraeth ar bob lefel. Finally, people will invariably ask about the merits of this kind of exercise, but quality research and serious engagement with our citizens do not come cheap. Democracy costs money. But to my mind, the future of Welsh governance is a critical question for everybody who lives in Wales, and we should make no apology for investing in getting this right for future generations. Rowan and I are immensely proud to have been asked to lead this important project, and I commend our fellow commissioners, the expert panel and the Secretariat for their hard work, collegiality and insight. But ultimately, as an independent commission, We can do no more than make recommendations based on evidence and analysis. The next steps are up to you, the leaders who are here in the room, the political parties, but most importantly of all, the citizens of Wales. Diolch yn fawr.
Thank you very much to the both of you there. We now have an opportunity for questions from the floor. So if you could please raise your hands and yeah, we will come to you. A group of people who is never normally this quiet, I will say. So who's going to here? A microphone is coming to you. Thank you.
Diolch yn fawr iawn. Dwi'n falch I gweld yn yr adroddiad y pwyslais ar gweithio leol plismona a'r gwasanaeth prawf a gwasanaeth ieuenctid. I'm really pleased to see the emphasis on the local routes of policing, the probation service and the youth justice service, because if they're not successful locally, they can never be successful at all. Can I ask if you've looked further at the structures within Wales that might be developed? There are ways in which I think we can say that people within those services are already doing many things better in Wales, partly because of those local routes, but partly because working with Welsh Government and also with the agencies of central government in a constructive way. Have you looked at the way in which that might develop? And is the principle that you're observing a bottom-up rather than a top-down approach to the way those services are developed and delivered in future? Diolch yn fawr.
Thank you. Laura, did you want to start us off with that? Or would you prefer to Rowan?
Well, I entirely understand the point you're making, Alan, and I think it's a very valid one. But I think, in fairness, it was probably beyond the remit of this commission to look at the structures and the agencies that might manage that process of devolution of those critical areas. But I think it's significant that we use the principle of subsidiarity to apply as a test to each of our constitutional models. And we applied that in our thinking as well around each of the candidate areas for devolution, including policing and justice. So the idea that the most appropriate level, realistically and practically closest to citizens, was a very fundamental one that we applied to all of the analysis, not just to the constitutional options.
Diolch yn fawr, Alan. As Laura said, that was the principle on which we worked. We did have the benefit of your own input into our discussions and some of the material you provided us with about the experience in recent years of working, police commissioners working collaboratively. If you like, constructing structures, as you say, bottom-up rather than top-down. And I think, and I have said this in writing too, that the work that's been done by the police commissioners in Wales is a model which ought to be looked at more broadly. And although we couldn't go to that detail in the report, I think the principle and the practice are very much the kind of thing we want to see developing here.
Thank you very much. There are also the commissioners here who are present. You're welcome to contribute should you feel that you'd like to. Does anybody else have a question that they would like to ask? Oh, right, so over here. Thank you.
Thank you for talking today and for producing this report. I just wanted to know, what was the thing that surprised you most about this process?
Great question.
That's a very good question indeed. Negatively, I think we were a bit taken aback by the degree to which people still felt they didn't know how the devolved settlement worked. And the more we ran into this local level, the more evident it was that there was something of a disconnect about civic and political education in Wales. So that was not entirely a surprise, but I think the scale of it was a little bit startling. If, you know, if a very substantial percentage of the population still thinks that the NHS in Wales is run from London, you know, Houston, we have a problem. So that was one thing. But I think the positive surprise was how in some of the work that was done with citizen panels, people who had begun from that sort of position instinctively made the connections very early on between the large constitutional questions and the local delivery questions. It doesn't take a lot to get that connection to be made. The myth persists that constitutional issues are wonk questions. You know, they're just issues that professional politicians invent to fill their lonely long winter evenings. And we wanted to say, look, constitutional questions are about how decisions get made and decisions that are about your own well-being. And that's the connection. And we were delighted to find, and again a bit surprised, that in the continuous process of working with citizens panels, which is not just a one-off thing, people opened up to that, engaged, and wanted to take it forward.
Yes, I mean, Rowan's mentioned the citizen engagement, but I think, you know, going back to my point about having a unanimous report from a cross-party commission is really significant. I don't think many people would have tipped us to get to this position, but that's all credit to the party political representatives who were part of the commission, who were prepared to compromise and also to judge the evidence in a very objective and non-ideological way. And I think that, again, sets a pattern that we can use in other spheres, because I shouldn't say this in a room full of politicians, but party politics isn't politics writ large. It's only an aspect of politics. And I think most citizens are very happy with engaging and trying to find the common ground on areas that affect their lives on a daily basis. So I think that was very positive as well. And finally, if I can, just to add another one, I think personally, I can't speak for the whole Commission, I was disappointed with the quality of evidence for those who should be defending the status quo. I thought we failed to receive serious, measured evidence and intellectually close arguments for defending a status quo, which I think surprised some of us.
I mean, Laura, you spoke there about, you know, the status quo. In the interim report, you mentioned that the status quo wasn't sustainable, but the final report urged a lot more urgency. Why is that?
Well, I think what we've seen is a process of attrition. We mentioned the number of times that the Sewell Convention, which everyone in the room knows is the protocol that the UK government doesn't intervene on devolved areas without the consent of the devolved governments and parliaments. We've talked about the poor operation of intergovernmental relations, and I think about some of the comments from commissioners where they said if there was a more constructive attitude from UK government to the devolved governments, and maybe some of these recommendations might not be necessary. Because you can have the best machinery in the world, but ultimately these things come down to attitudes and behaviours and actions. And I think as long as UK government sees Welsh government as being a stakeholder to be managed rather than an equal partner with parity of esteem, then you clearly do need to do more to institutionalise and legislate to protect intergovernmental relations.
These are things that shouldn't just be left to the vagaries of individual personal relationships between politicians. They do need some kind of firm, ongoing statutory protection. I think that was a point which came across very, very clear, very early in our discussions. As Laura said, the ignoring of the Sewell Convention is something which, when you total up the instances, does look quite disturbing. And the decline in seriousness over intergovernmental relations in recent years has been very marked. It's slowly recovering a bit, but that's an index, as I said, of the fact that it shouldn't just depend on chance. If the devolved settlement is to be durable, it needs that extra dimension of consolidation.
Rowan, you mentioned a minute ago that it took you back how disengaged a lot of factions of the Welsh population are with our devolved politics. What does the report suggest could be done about that over the long term?
We hope very much that the way the report is set out will itself model for Welsh democracy how we might go forward. We've shown, I hope, that intelligent, critical engagement is possible at grassroots level. We've, I hope, shown that people's political enthusiasm is not dead. We've shown that Wales can be and must be a more democratically vital and lively community. And I think that's the contribution we want to make. That the way we've done this job is part of what we're talking about. The method is part of the message here. But we have also made some specific recommendations to Welsh Government to pick up these questions. So, for example, we've suggested, as has been mentioned, I think, suggested that there should be a group which works explicitly on some sort of constitutional statement for Wales, a statement of constitutional principle and values, which would recognise the kind of democracy we want to be. We want this to be the beginning of a continuing process of engagement, and we have, I hope, suggested and shown that this can happen with the right kind of resourcing. Just to take a couple of examples, because I know there are people in the room with interest in this. One is we were very much helped by, in our community engagement work, by a number of exemplary activists up and down the country, and the work that's been done by the Democracy Box with young people. I know there are some there today. That which works as a sort of pop-up drop-in centre for discussion of major public issues, I think has been a wonderful example of how to do it locally. We've worked with groups representing some ethnic minorities, people living with disabilities in parts of the country, and the whole process of the Community Engagement Fund, which we worked with, especially in our first 18 months or so, that has shown us that it's possible to make the contact, that it's possible to let those voices be heard, and that there is the willingness and the intelligence and the vision there.
Brilliant, thank you. Are there any more questions from the floor? You have one over here.
Representative of the Law Society in Wales, I'm obviously particularly interested in devolution of justice. I see in your report there's a suggestion of a 10-year timetable, but how critical is proper funding to the ultimate aim of devolution of justice in Wales?
Obviously, it's a project which will need serious costing and funding, which is why we've tried to identify those areas where we think it's most urgent to pursue it, and where the costs might most readily be sorted out. We still have some issues, as became very clear in our discussions, about getting the proper kind of disaggregated statistics about prison populations, for example, in Wales. That was a frustrating element, wasn't it, in our discussions. So we think the process needs to start soon. We recognise that realistically it's a decade or so. We recognise that costing is a crucial part of this. We haven't got the solutions, but that's the priority we wanted to underline.
Yes, I mean, again, you know, going into the actual operationalising was beyond the remit of the Commission, but it was fairly obvious to us looking back at the Lord Thomas report that there is a clear direction of travel as to how that might be managed. But the absolute fundamental is that every move is accompanied by the funding that is currently allocated to the operation of Welsh justice as part of the England and Wales justice system. That's an absolute prerequisite, I think. And of course, you know, we've had the Lord Thomas report for the best part of 5 years. So we've thought about that, the Senedd has thought about that, the Welsh Government has thought about that. So I don't think we're starting from an absolutely standing position in this respect. It's not easy, but I think the outcomes in terms of the benefits for the Welsh people are so significant that it's something that is irresistible, I think, and the money that comes with it has to be absolutely fundamental to that process.
Thank you both, and thank you for the question as well. We'll take a question over here.
Hi, Jenny Rathbone. I represent Cardiff Central and I have a particular interest in the devolution of justice, particularly women's justice. Can really women wait for not being in the first tranche of devolution, given the outcomes of people being sent to prison for relatively minor offences are so poor in terms of recidivism? And the absolute waste of money that could be better spent by correcting people's offending behaviour in the community.
Laura, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I appreciate the question, Jenny. It's a very specific one, and we've got an enormous amount of sympathy for that. But equally, the process of devolving justice is a complex one, as you know only too well, and it has to be handled strategically, or we could be making issues for ourselves in terms of the operationalising of that further down the line. So it's not for us to map out exactly how the process should operate, but I think there's a consensus that it has to be done in a staged way. I think a big bang approach to devolution of justice could deliver real operational problems for us in Wales. So all practitioners and all experts and all academics were telling us that message. Beyond that, in terms of the sequencing and the chronology, I think we need to listen very carefully to experts, because don't forget that Wales is an outlier in terms of not having control of its justice system. You know, virtually, almost without exception, every other country in the world that has a legislature and an executive also has its own judiciary, and we don't. So, you know, it's something that we should be able to model on other nations relatively effectively, I think.
If I could just add, I'm totally in sympathy with the question, because I think not just in Wales but nationally the situation for women's justice and penal policy as it affects women is absurd, indefensible, grossly unjust and cruel, socially destructive in all kinds of ways. Part of the answer to that, though, of course, is not only what happens with the prison system, and I agree that, you know, it doesn't happen in a big bang, it's also a culture change in sentencing policy and a number of things like that. I'm sure you'd agree that the vast majority of women in custodial, going through custodial sentences, should not be in custody, frankly. And that's a big issue which, again and again, nationally we seem to, and by nationally I mean both Wales and UK, we seem to shy away from. I just keep up the pressure is all I can say there, but I say that not so much as a member of the Commission as sharing very strongly your feelings about this.
Will you make proposals for devolution of new powers to Wales, including justice, as we've just spoken about, in infrastructure, transport infrastructure and policing? Why did you decide that these were the main ones that you feel would really benefit the lives of people of Wales?
Well, these were the ones that came up from our discussions with the people of Wales. I think that's the short answer. We didn't begin with a sort of abstract question, so what sort of things would look better if devolved? We started with the question, what's working well, what's working badly, what could work better, and how? And so that was our principle, wasn't it?
Yes, absolutely. But, you know, let's put all this in context. I mean, the quarter of a century of devolution has been about deepening powers, not widening. So this is different, you know, because we are calling for the widening of powers over areas where up until now the Assembly and the Senedd haven't had responsibility. So it will put pressure on capacity, which is why I think it's timely that the Senedd reform bill is progressing in terms of enlarging this institution, because of course those are very, very important areas, not just for Senedd members to work on, but other Senedd members to scrutinise Welsh Government action on. And we know that one of the weaknesses currently is low capacity for scrutiny. But with justice devolved, I think the enlargement of the Senedd becomes even more important.
Yeah, thank you. We have had an anonymous question from Zoom, which I'm sure is not as ominous as it sounds. And Laura, I'll start with you. Would the Commission encourage the Welsh Labour leadership to respond to the report?
I think all political parties will respond in due course and with due respect to the report. I've got absolutely no doubt about that. We've already had very cordial discussions with the First Minister and the Council General and the leader of Plaid Cymru, as one would expect, because it was a Labour manifesto commitment, of course, and a part of the cooperation agreement between Labour and Plaid Cymru. But I would be very surprised if anybody in the political sphere didn't want to read our report carefully and offer their own analysis of how they see that report going forward, because it's a really important piece of work. By the way, not just for Wales, but for the UK more generally, because a lot of the recommendations have significant implications for the other nations of the UK too.
Yes, the short answer to the question is yes. And the same would be true of the leadership of all the political parties, as Laura has said. I think as the Welsh Labour Party looks to changes in coming months, we would very much want to see the agenda here as part of that discussion. And I think also it's important to underline the fact that what's here in the report is, as much as anything, a sort of deposit, a resource of research and information which is out there, which is available to political agents to work with. We have not, as I've said, approached this with an agenda of looking for evidence that will support a preconceived position. We've tried to listen, tried to represent what's there, and the result is, I think, a fairly convincing body of well-evidenced information. There it is for the political agents of Wales. There it is, whatever your party, whatever your agenda or purpose, there it is to be used and worked on. And that's what we want to see happen. We want to put it into, as I said earlier, excuse the image, put it into the water supply. We wanted to be part of that ongoing conversation.
Laura, you mentioned the impact that this could have actually across the UK, these findings. From what you've seen, what do you think are the constitutional strains on the rest of the UK, not just Wales?
Oh gosh, that's a big question. I probably shouldn't get into that in too much detail, but I mean, it was clear from our point of view that relationships were not working as well, not as we thought they should, but as citizens thought they should. Because, you know, in the research that we conducted, it was apparent that over 90% of people wanted the governments of the UK to work closely together in their interests. And I think that kind of evidence should be an impetus to the governments to ensure that they are driving an approach that benefits people, because you know, these are not esoteric arguments. They're actually about service delivery in areas that affect people's lives on a daily basis.
Absolutely.
And I think although the political climate overall has changed in the last 2 years in this respect, one of the bits of impetus behind the creation of the Commission was the sense that the Union was a bit fragile. 2 years ago, we were still looking at the quite serious possibility of another referendum in Scotland. We were looking at a very complicated situation evolving in Northern Ireland. And it was clear, I think, to those making the decisions in Wales, as it was to us as we began our work, that it would be quite a good thing to have something in the bank on behalf of Wales and its needs before we were overtaken by crises not of our making, let's say. And that in doing that, we might actually make a positive contribution to those wider issues in the UK at the same time.
Yeah, thank you very much. Does anybody have one burning question? All of the questions now that we're coming to the end. Okay. I'll let the mic decide where we're going to go. We have time for a couple more.
Hi everyone, my name is Josh White, representing the Democracy Box. So just a quick statement to say I really enjoyed the report so far, and I think it's going to serve as a great umbrella for other organizations to work through. My question is about democratic education. What kind of solutions have you discussed in terms of implementing it in schools? Like, we're at a point where democratic education is in the curriculum, but there is no real talk about how it's going to be taught by teachers to keep doing that work. And not just teachers, organizations, and some organizations that aren't in schools, because there are many people outside of the school system that still don't know about democracy.
A wonderful question. And once again, as Laura said in response to another question, we're not trying to sort out all the operational questions in the report or in our responses now. But this is exactly the kind of question we have to have on the horizon. How's this going to work? And you're right to say it's not just about school curricula. It is crucially about civic education in school at a higher and sharper level. It's also about the education of whole communities and how we approach that, which is by no means a simple question. It's about how a number of different organizations in our society, from voluntary associations through to other more obviously public-facing bodies, bodies like the TUC, if I may say so, shall, other groups, how they build in elements of better democratic self-awareness and self-consciousness in their day-to-day operations. It's a matter, I think, sometimes of saying to people, look at how you're making decisions. Don't just make decisions, look at how they get made. Keep alive the question, who's making them, who's talking when you're in a room, and who's not. look at how you're, if you like, inducting people into the processes of decision-making that you share. All of that is part of democratic education, I'd say. And of course, it starts with statutory education, but it certainly doesn't stop there.
Laura, any final words from yourself?
Yes, I mean, obviously we couldn't go into as much detail as we would like on that, but the fundamental is so important because I think the kind of polarisation we've seen in our politics happens when there is an information vacuum, basically. And all of our evidence, all the work that was done for us research-wise and polling-wise showed that people didn't understand the powers that each tier of government had, but they wanted to know more. And I think, it's so important that we take advantage of that goodwill towards learning more now and towards really understanding the democratic system, because otherwise we allow a polarisation to continue, and that's in nobody's interest.
Thank you very much. We have run out of time for any further questions. However, there is a lunch afterwards, which I would say is a very good opportunity to corner both chairs, should you have anything that you want to ask. I'm now going to invite the First Minister and the leader of Plaid Cymru to the stage to receive the report. Thank you.
We've got to give you this, I think. Should we photo first?
Can you come down here for the photo first, please? Just there, just come down to the steps and then that's it. First, if you come in. That's it, lovely, okay. And then we'll have the report. You've got any insurance? Lovely, excellent. Okay, and then I that's it, lovely. Super, smiling at me. Very last one, well done. Lovely. Thank you very much.
Wel, yn y gyfellion, prawn da, diolch yn fawr i chi gyd am ddod o'r eistedd fan hyn yn yr oer. Ni'n just yn dod i'r ben. Y gwaith sydd â fi yw ddim yn anodd o gwbl, sef jyst i ddweud diolch. Diolch o galon i'r aelodau'r Comisiwn Annibynnol, i'r cyn-cadwyddion, ac i pob un sy'n sefyll tu ôl ar adroddiad hefyd. Ni wedi clywed bore yma am yr help mae'r Comisiwn wedi cael o bobl arbenigwyr yn y maes, bobl sy'n wedi helpu i ysgrifennu yr adroddiad, ac yn enwedig bobl ledled Cymru sy'n wedi gyfrannu at a ddadl am ble mae llaisiau nhw, chi'n gallu weld nhw ar y tudalennau yn yr adroddiad. Very easy job for me just to say thank you to everybody for the work that's gone into the report. I wanted just very briefly to remind people of the origins of the report, because the decision to ask a group of independent people to give us their views on the future constitutional choices that are there for Wales wasn't a completely uncontroversial one, as you can imagine. But the decision was made at a point where that constitutional future really did look particularly fragile. Brexit was advertised as a project that would bring power closer to people, but in practice in Wales, it meant the powers that had been here since 1999 disappeared from Wales and were repatriated to London. One way or another, I've worked with every Prime Minister since devolution, but none of that prepared me for what happened in 2019, because successive governments of different political persuasions had essentially respected the devolution settlement. And what we've learned since 2019 is just how fragile the settlement turned out to be, that relying on conventions and people observing the rules turned out to be a rather flimsy basis. And for people who didn't do that, the report has its answer, which is that we have to entrench devolution and put the system and the settlement on a statutory basis that means it cannot be rolled back by people whose views really don't reflect the broad thrust of how parties have dealt with this subject over all those years. I think there's a temptation for some people to believe that that moment of democratic crisis has somehow passed. That we don't need to attend to these issues in the way that we thought we did when the Commission was established. I think that would be very foolish indeed. The issues that the report grapples with are as urgent today as they were when the Commission was established. And that's why it is so great to have a report that is unanimous. That's a tremendous achievement of the Commission and its chairs, but is also provocative. It's easy to be unanimous if you say nothing very interesting, but to be unanimous and still to have a report that is full of new thinking, ideas that we will want to grapple with, that's a very real achievement indeed. I think we've heard from the quality of the discussion here this morning, the depth of thinking that lies behind the report. As a Welsh Government, we are hugely grateful I bob un sydd wedi gyfrannu at y gwaith mor pwysig, to everybody who has contributed to this really important work. Today is a day to focus on the report itself. There will be plenty of opportunities for us here in this building. And hasn't it been wonderful, by the way? It's one of the great privileges of working here to see young people from Wales walk through the place where their democracy is being delivered. This report is for them. It's about their futures. It's about the Wales that they will help to create. Those of us who play a part in it today will have a report that will be hugely helpful to us, and we're immensely grateful to all of those who have helped to make it happen. Diolch.
Wel, dwi'n hefyd eisiau llongyfarch a diolch I Laura a Rowan a'r Comisiwn am ei holl waith. Mae'r gwaith maen nhw wedi wneud yn adlewyrchu'r ffaith bod hwn yn gyfnod hynod bwysig a hynod gyffroes yn hanes yn cenedl ni, ac mae'r Comisiwn wedi cynnal sgwrs ar yn dyfodol cyfansoddiadol a democrataidd sydd wedi bod yn ehangach ac yn fwy cynhwysol nag efallai gafon ni erioed o'r blaen. A mewn cyd-destun lle mae gwleidyddiaeth ledled y byd yn pegynnu pobl a phwysleisio rhaniadau, mae gwaith y Comisiwn wedi dangos I bod hi yn bosib dod â phobl ar draws spectrwm gwleidyddol a chymdeithasol at ei gilydd mwyn holi cwestiynau allweddol a chraffu ar y dystiolaeth o ran yn dyfodol cyffredin ni. Ac wrth gwrs mae gwaith mor drylwyr a hyn yn debyg o wneud canfyddiadau o bwys, a mae yna rai canfyddiadau ddyla fod yn destun pryder gwirioneddol I ni bob un o ran dealltwriaeth pobl o'n sefydliadau ni. Sut mae pobl yn ymgysylltu efo'n sefydliadau ni neu ddim yn gwneud hynny efalla. A beth sydd ganddo ni o ganlyniad ydy galwad glir I weithredu yn hynny o beth. Dwi'n wrth y modd yn gweld y plant yma heddiw. Mae democratiaeth yn fyw yma yn y Senedd yn gwaith ni ydy sicrhau bod democratiaeth yn fyw drwy Gymru gyfan. A dwi'n edrych ymlaen I gydweithio efo eraill mwyn cryfhau a dyfnhau yn democratiaeth Gymreig ac I barhau efo ac I ehangu y drafodaeth yna am yn dyfodol gyffredin fel cenedl. A does na ddim amheuaeth gen I y dylen ni fwrw ati weithredu'r argymhellion ar gryfhau yn democratiaeth ar frys. Hefyd mae'r argymhellion ar sut I amddiffyn a chryfhau y setliad datganoli presennol. Mae angen I ni fynd ar drywydd y rhain yn gyflym. Does na ddim rheswm pam na ddylai dechrau ar y gwaith yn syth o bwyso a mesur. Sut I symud ymlaen? Ystyried y cyfleon sy'n cael I cynnig. Ac yn y pen draw, mae gwaith y Comisiwn yn dangos, a hynny wrth gwrs mewn ffordd lle mae yna gonsensws arno fo, yn allweddol, bod y setliad presennol yn anghynaliadwy. All pethau ddim aros fel ag y man nhw. Mae newid cyfansoddiadol pellach yn angenrheidiol, mi fyddwn ni'n dadlau yn anochel. Mae hynny'n wir, nid yn unig I Gymru, ond I bob rhan o'r ynysoedd yma. Ond mae gwaith y Comisiwn dwi'n hyderus wedi rhoi Cymru mewn sefyllfa gre I wneud y gwaith sydd I angen ar hyn. Mi fyddwn ni hefyd yn deud bod y ffocws newydd sydd wedi cael ei roi ar y dewisiadau o'n blaenau ni yn golygu bod angen I ni newid yn sylweddol y ffordd da ni'n meddwl am faterion cyfansoddiadol yma yn y Senedd a thu hwnt. A hefyd, mae'n rhaid i ni sicrhau bod y gwaith dadansoddi, dadlau a chynllunio da ni'n ei weld yn yr adroddiad yma yn parhau. Rwy'n mae'r Comisiwn wedi codi gymaint o gwestiynau pwysig. Mae nhw'n gwestiynau da ni ym Mhlaid Cymru wedi bod yn eiddgar iawn i ymgysylltu efo nhw ac i ymateb iddyn nhw. Dwi'n edrych ymlaen i amlinellu mwy am dystiolaeth wnaethon ni gyflwyno i'r Comisiwn. A sut mae'r broses yma wedi mireinio'r ffordd da ni'n meddwl fel plaid. Mi fyddai'n gwneud hynny mewn araith yn ddiweddarach y mis yma. Ond am heddiw, dwi eisiau tynnu sylw eto at y ffaith bod y Comisiwn yn pwysleisio nad ydy'r status quo yn opsiwn. Mi'n dangos hefyd wrth gwrs bod yna opsiynau realistig ar gyfer newidiadau radical a bod annibyniaeth yn un ohonyn nhw. Dwi wrth gwrs yn gyffroes iawn am hynny. As someone who has always believed that Wales has everything it needs to be a prosperous independent nation, I am more excited than ever now about our ability to reach our potential as a nation. But today should be exciting for all of us. The Commission has shown that we are right to be ambitious for Wales and that we should not allow that ambition to be limited. If you share our ambitions for Wales, wherever you stand on the constitutional question at the moment, we're keen to work with you to build our nation. We all need to work together. Felly diolch o galon i'r Comisiwn, i bawb sydd wedi dod heddiw, a gadwch i ni fwrw ymlaen efo'r gwaith o weithredu yr argymhellion yn yr adroddiad yma i adeiladu arno fo a chyflawni'n uchelgeisiau cyffredin ar gyfer dyfodol Cymru. Diolch o galon.
Well, that concludes the session today. Thank you so much to the First Minister and to the leader of Plaid Cymru for speaking just now. And thank you to my brilliant panel who made my job very, very easy today. To Laura McAllister and to Rowan Williams. I'm sure you want to show them your thanks as well. The only thing better than lunch is a free lunch, so please make sure that you make the most of that upstairs and use that as an opportunity to continue a lively conversation about the Commission. So thank you very, very much.